And then I would say, and he lied to you, folks.
He did say that.
Do you really think he doesn't want Trump to get acquitted? Do you really think that's not in his best interest for President Trump to get, I'm sorry, do you really think he wants to get him acquitted, not convicted? He's selling shirts of the guy behind bars. Have you, using your common sense, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever heard a case, think of Law and Order, think of every movie you've watched. Have you ever seen the main witness is selling T-shirts of the defendant who he's testifying against wearing in a T-shirt with a guy behind bars? If that doesn't tell you he's lying to you right here in this trial, I don't know what.
Well,
the point that Steinglass made, a very effective rhetorical argument about, we didn't choose him as our witness. The defendant chose him. That's bull. The prosecution chose him when they chose to charge this case. They own him. They're the ones putting him in front of the jury saying, believe him beyond a reasonable doubt. But Steinglass, and me in my old days, knows that we get the last word, and they're not going to be able to make that rebuttal.
And they're the ones who decided not to charge him for stealing $30,000 from this exact transaction.
I think Michael Cohen is total lack of credibility as a star witness. He's proven to be dishonest and admitted it as well, and now we're supposed to believe him. So.
Okay. Robert, you said you're ready to vote for Donald Trump and you feel he's not guilty. Tell me why.
Yeah, correct. I think for me it comes down to the burden of proof, and I don't feel the prosecution has laid out a real game plan or really proved any of the allegations beyond a reasonable doubt.
On the top row on the left, this is Scott. Scott doesn't know who he's going to vote for in November, and he doesn't know if Donald Trump is guilty or not guilty. How come you feel that way at this point?
I think the prosecution made it about Michael Cohen when they let him open his mouth. And he turned out to be the worst star witness in the history of trials. So good luck to the jurors trying to figure out what's true, what's not.
Well, you're the juror right now, but you're saying you haven't decided. You don't like Cohen, but you haven't decided that he's not guilty.
Yeah, as an American, I also didn't have the ability to see things through an unfiltered lens. So that would have really helped.
And that's what I've explained. You've done your best to follow this trial. Okay, and this is Matt over here. Matt is ready to vote for Donald Trump in November, and he feels he's not guilty.
Yes, sir. I believe basically with the Michael Cohen's testimony, it was just going to be basically just a lie from the beginning, from the idea of just his information he gave.
Okay, and Matt and Beliza are a couple here. Beliza, also, you're ready to vote for Donald Trump. You feel he's not guilty. How come?
Yes, I believe he's innocent. Because I think he didn't violate any campaign financial law.
Okay. Beliza's from Colombia originally, and she became an American citizen a few years ago, so congratulations on that. And finally, Daryl's up there. He's ready to vote for Joe Biden, feels Donald Trump is guilty. How come? Final question for you, a show of hands here. If Donald Trump is found guilty, do any of you who say you're ready to vote for Donald Trump, would you consider switching to Joe Biden? Raise your hands. No consideration, even if he's found guilty. Other hand, if he's found not guilty, any of you voting for Joe Biden, would you then possibly consider Donald Trump? All right, everyone's sticking with the candidates they have right now.
But primarily it's because the jury instructions almost require it. The judge is not going to instruct on any level of intent or knowledge that Trump should have had or must have had with regard to the second crime, the generically referenced campaign finance crimes, and the jury certainly can't be unanimous on whatever that crime is because the crime itself hasn't been identified. It's out there as multiple possibilities, and both those concepts are a little at odds with traditional criminal requirements of knowledge and intent and unanimity. But this is a very odd statute. I think as applied here, the defense is going to have a good argument on appeal that it was unconstitutionally applied.
How do you explain the fact that Michael Cohen had not identified the involvement of the 14-year-old as part of that phone call?
It's exactly as you say. It had been many years, right? That was in 2016. And he simply had forgotten what was a much less salient point from that conversation. Once he was reminded of it, it did come back to mind. It had been, a young prankster who basically made it impossible for Mr. Cohen to conduct his business. And so it did come back to him, but it wasn't the most impactful part of that conversation. And as soon as he was refreshed, he recalled it and truthfully, and I think in a very common sense way, said, oh yeah, that did happen, but look how much we're able to accomplish in other conversations. And I think the prosecutor made a really strong point of that in his summation.
What are you looking at?
So Donya Perry, who represented Michael Cohen, was on a few minutes ago, and she was saying that Michael Cohen actually counted the number of times that Todd Blanche, the defense attorney, called him a liar. So did we. The number we came up with, Anna Glickman, my producer, between calling Michael Cohen a liar, that he was lying, he lied, or just lie, or perjury, 78 times. 78 times Todd Blanche said it. And this is what one of the things that Blanche said directly about Michael Cohen. He's literally like an MVP of liars. He lies constantly. He's lied to Congress. He lied to prosecutors. He lied to his family, his business associates. He lied to his bosses. He lies to reporters. He lies to federal judges. A little bit later, he said, it's like what people, when they talk about with athletes like Michael Jordan as the GOAT, Tiger Woods as the GOAT, Tom Brady as the GOAT. These athletes are the greatest of all time, the best among their peers. Michael Cohen is the gloat. He's literally the greatest liar of all time.